Good morning, Sentinels, and welcome to episode 35. And I noticed after watching yesterday's episode that we got cut off. So we got to meditation and how that helps and for what reasons that actually helps. Now, the polar bears and the cats, where do they come in? Well, if you've got ADHD, probably you're running away screaming about now when I'm talking about meditation. I just call it box breathing, to tell you the truth. At the end of the day, it has all the effects. It's the mindfulness that counts, so it's that rhythmic breathing. So what's that got to do with polar bears and cats? Well, polar bears, they tend to be very single-minded about doing things, which is similar to us. If we're doing something that we love, then we really do tend to concentrate on it. They do not give up. If they find food anywhere, they will take something to pieces to get to it, and they're fairly dangerous in the process, and that would apply to us too. Single-mindedness is not always a gift. You have to make sure that you actually take into consideration other people around you that aren't quite as obsessed as you are, and that is meditation helps with that. So they did a study, obviously, about this, and they basically asked in 2 sessions asked the people to do a couple of things. And the first thing was think about a polar bear for 10 seconds. So just try that just now. So I'll count through quietly, and then you can pause the video if you're watching it not live, and think about a polar bear for 10 seconds. See if you can manage that. Okay, so that was about 10 seconds, and I'm sure you actually managed to do that. Now, just imagine if you are, they then tried the opposite, so took a second group of people and told them to try and not think about a polar bear for 10 seconds. And the whole point of the exercise, once they actually got through, and of course, you'll find that when you're trying to not think about a polar bear for 10 seconds, it doesn't. It's like a pink elephant in the room. As soon as you actually mention it, that's the only thing you think about, especially if somebody's talking about it on top of that. So what's that got to do with meditation? Well, the simple fact that you can do that, and thoughts in meditation or in breathing exercises, it drives people with ADHD crazy because we tend to get distracted by a lot of things. So you've got to shut out all the distractions as far as possible. I find earphones or something similar to be an advantage there. And when you do that, don't kick yourself for the fact that you're thinking about stuff. It's going to happen. It's practice. It isn't something that everybody can just, I'm going to get cut off again. Well, maybe. I'll keep going anyway. Where was I? So the practice itself, it's not something you're going to have to do for about 2 to 3 weeks before you see any benefits. And more than likely, the best way to tell whether it is actually doing any good, especially if you have ADHD, or especially if you're smart, is to ask some friends or family if they've noticed any changes. Don't tell them what you've been doing, just ask that question. If they've noticed in the last 2 to 3 weeks if there have been any changes as far as they're concerned. And if they have, you've got your answer. And I can only say that from personal experience of everybody that I know that has done some sort of mindfulness training, it has helped tremendously. It does help from a medical perspective, which we talked about yesterday. The last one is the cats. Well, the cats basically are the thoughts that we have that keep distracting us. If you look at a cat and you're playing with it, it's pretty easy to get distracted, unless it's looking at that one thing that it's after, and then it won't let go. Now, that's what you need to be looking for, is don't worry about distractions. They're going to happen. You've got to take them as part of life. We happen to have more than most, but hey, that's just the way it is. And if you do just try and sit down, take a few minutes out of your day, 5 minutes I'll do to start off with, and just sit down in a chair. Don't go cross-legged, nothing of that, no crap like that. Just nice and simple. And make sure you've got a space that's calm and quiet for 5 minutes, and breathe for 5 minutes. just breathing in and out. That's all it is. Simple as that. So I started off with breathing in, 1, 2, 3, holding for 1 second, breathing out, 1, 2, 3. 5 minutes a day, that's all it is. See if it helps. Ask your friends and family, see what they think, see if it's made a difference. I know that a friend of mine, she's a rather volatile character, is a lawyer, was quite highly strung, and she basically said that no, it was making no difference to her at all, until her husband actually then piped up and said, well, if we'd had this discussion a few months ago, then we probably would have literally left the restaurant and been shouting on the way to the taxi. Well, there you go. So you may not know yourself that it's improving, so make sure you check in with others. With that, there we are. Hopefully this time we got to the point where we finished. Of the reminder that popped up on screen and stop the live session, we'll see. Anyway, as always, have a plan, be fun, foster wisdom wherever you see it, and have a good morning, a good afternoon, or a good evening. And as always, this is sponsored by theleaderstribe.tv, and if you would prefer to see the written versions of these, they're on the website under guides. Okay? Cheers, see you later, have a good day, and I'll speak to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.